What's up, guys? It's Justin, Mr. CMB. Shout out to everybody who's liking, subscribing, and sharing the channel. Let's get right into it. Making 20K a month. This is how you do it. Now, first of all, most people won't mention this, but before you even need to make money, you got to know it's actually possible. And what do I mean by that? Like, you know, if you've worked at like, let's say you've worked at a job and you made like $15 an hour, you know that, okay, the way your mind works is that, okay, I know I can make, $600 this week. I know I can make, $800 this week because I've made this amount of money. Now, what happens is if I tell you like, hey, make $10,000 this month, if you never made $10,000 this month, you're just gonna be like, okay, it's how is that possible? What am I gonna do? Your brain freezes because the only way you know to make money is either by working a job or getting another job. But then you do the math and you're capped. So you're gonna think, hey, it's impossible. How am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? So what you got to do is the first thing you need to do is understand that it's actually possible. Now, how are you going to do this? Well, one, you're going to analyze what you're taking in. If you're sitting home watching Netflix, watching Pornhub, because you probably got like 15, 20 tabs of that shit open. If you're watching movies, bullshitting, watching a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't add value to your life, pure entertainment, you're pretty much going to stay stagnant. What you need to do is watch people who are talking about money, like my channel, and just binge watch it and things like that. You need to surround yourself with people who are making high incomes and where you want to be. And if you don't have that around you, let's say you live in Tupelo, Mississippi, you're probably not around people like that. So you need to use this phone and you need to just flood your brain with it. And when I mean flood your brain with it, you mean that's all you need to do. And I know it's going to be hard because the dopamine of Netflix, the dopamine of your Pornhub addiction, the dopamine of whatever entertainment, drinking or whatever you're doing, that's going to be hard to break. So you're going to be like a fiending for entertainment because right now you're changing a habit. And I've talked about habits before on this channel. So what you're going to need to do is flood your brain. Me, I have an addictive personality, which is why I don't do certain things, because I know when I start, it's hard for me to stop. But that's a good thing. You point it in the right direction, and that's what you got to do. So you have to flood yourself with this type of information. People talking about money, people talking about what they've done to do this, to open up your ideas so you can see ideas and things of how it actually is possible. All right. So that's one of the first things you need to do, because most people say, hey, make 20K a month, do this. Yeah, I could do it and you could do it, but we could start at the same time and I'll actually reach that goal and you won't, because I've done it before. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing, is you have to learn how to expand your mind, expand and contract, right? Because there's people making $20,000, in an hour. But if I told you, hey, you can make $20,000 in an hour, you'd be like, I don't know how I would do that. How would I do that? Yeah, you can do it. But let's one step at a time. All right, number two, what you need to do is, now you're flooded your brain, is now it's time to, get some action. What can you do? What value or what service can you do that can give you the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time, or has high spreads? So one of the best ways is becoming a middleman. What do I mean by that? If you're like, can find a car, let's say you find a car on Craigslist and they haven't sold it, and you negotiate a price, but you can find a buyer and you make the spread in between there. You can make about $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $7,000. Cool. And that's going to take a skill set. One of the best ways that I say is always wholesaling properties. The reason why the spreads are good, you can make basically what you make in a month or 2 or 3 months. I don't know how much you get paid, but you can probably make a third of someone's salary, or sometimes all of somebody's salary in 1 month. And I really am an advocate of wholesaling properties. It's something I'll never stop doing, simply because becoming a middleman is always going to pay. You're servicing two different people, two different parties. As a byproduct, you get paid, and you can make a shitload of money. I mean, it just is what it is. So I always recommend wholesaling auction properties, wholesaling properties. Why? Because you don't have to worry about marketing costs. If you've ever done traditional wholesaling, you know, you got to pound. It's a lot of pavement pounding, and the grind can wear you down, especially if you have a job. Like when I started, you know, I didn't have a job. I was doing other things to bring in income that I can't mention on this channel. But anyway, if you have a job, let's say you have a full-time job, going home doing cold calling, all this, it'll drill you down, especially if you don't know what you're doing. You're taking your information off YouTube, and you don't know how the back end of the business model is actually run. You're just gonna be spinning your wheels like 95% of people, like I say on this channel, who do real estate, who wholesale, do. You know what I mean? So you should wholesale auction properties. Why? You could just hop online, find a property, create a strategy. Now, if you need help with that, I can help you out with that. Click the link below, schedule, call me. We'll talk. But you can make 10, 20, 30, $40,000 by taking action per month and actually do that. And what you got to understand, when you really break down what you're doing, let's break down what the work is you're going to do to actually wholesale property. You're going to do some research. That may take you about an hour, 2 hours. If you're really good like me, which you're not, but we're going to get you there, you know, maybe about a half hour or so, 15 minutes. And then what you're going to do is do some research and examine the property. You're going to figure out what your bids are. You're going to figure out, you know, what your comps are. You're going to figure out how to actually raise money to buy the property, which you shouldn't figure out. You should actually reach out to me and really acquire that property, find an end buyer. So really, communication, math, signing your John Hancock pause, which is your signature, digital signature, on a few pieces of paper, and pretty much play the waiting game, because, you know, most title companies are, you know, for some reason, there's always some lost in translation with title companies. Not saying they're all idiots, because there are some really good ones, which are the only ones I work with. But listen, you know, people make mistakes. You know what I mean? People make mistakes. So, and really, when you break it all down, you may spend a total of 5-6 hours technically on a deal over the course of a couple weeks, and you can make $10,000. This is why I advocate for wholesaling auction properties, because even though some of these may take like about a couple weeks to do, you still, when you factor in by the per hour, I mean, you're making like what, like $1,000 an hour, $2,000 an hour, $3,000 an hour. I mean, shit, I don't know if you could find a job doing that. So this is why I always am an advocate for that. So wholesaling auction properties, one of the best ways to earn 20 grand a month. And if you know how to do your deals and know how to scale it up and do it at your own pace, it's really lucrative. It can add to your bottom line, or hell, you can go ahead and do it full time once you get to a certain point, systematize it, and dive into other aspects of real estate. So I hope this video gave you a little bit of clarity, because you first got to start with where you're at. Like if you've never made $20,000 a month, if you've never made $10,000 a month, it's going to be extremely hard for you, because you've never seen it done, or you've never done it yourself. And even if you've seen it done, you still don't know the blueprint of how to do it. And you've never actually taken any sort of action to even acquire that. So it's going to be kind of difficult for you. So you have to expand. I remember the first time I made $5 grand on a month on my own. I was like, okay, this is great. First time I made 100 grand, let me take a step back. I made 10 grand on my own. I was like, great. And then I made 22 grand. My first 20K month was 22 grand. I made 22 grand just from the internet and from doing deals. Really from doing deals on the internet from my mind. And I was like, okay, this is really great. Then the first time I made 110 grand, I was like, okay, all right, this is what I'm talking about. So this is how you have to think about things. You have to first expand your mind, because if you've never done it, it's going to seem impossible. No matter how much stuff you take in, you got to take the action towards it and understand you can do it. Then be around people who've done it and are doing it right now. Like, I'm around people who make like, you know, $1 million, $2 million a month. And I'm like, shit, I got to step my game up. But I hope you like this. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Mr. CMB, I'm out. Peace.